And it's easy to miss those things, but I did it because I thought, right now, we just submitted a $273,000 grant request to fix Bauman Hall by next fall. That wall is going to be fixed. And we reached out to her to see if she would be interested in selling her building to us and she could lease it as a tenant so that we could take grants and fix that building. And then she could decide if she wanted to build or not. We were wanting to help. Because I can get grants. I taught myself to write them, and I can hire more grant writers. I have found several. And we also have a building, Bauman Hall, that if it's fixed by next fall, we would be willing to have tenants. And that another option we were going to offer to her is that if she would like to lease that out and build out a kitchen, we would love that. It would be a beautiful restaurant. So those are all options. We just wanted her to have other options, and we didn't want JDC to start talking about demolishing a building without at least trying to work with us. Because we are trying our hardest, and we have a small crew, but we're working very, very hard. And we've developed a coalition. I've been asked to testify from the Minnesota State and House taxation committees based on the work I've done. And it's unfortunate that people misconstrue my thoughts, and that's because I don't get to be around here a lot because I have a daughter and I have 2 businesses and stuff. But this is my passion, and this will be my long-term plan, 20-year plan for Jasper. And new construction is wonderful. I think it's awesome, and I will support it. And we would have a facade easement program for new owners too if we could. But there's a lot of other things that we want to do, and these historic buildings and these Rodman windmills and all these things are part of the whole puzzle. The Casey Jones Trail, that's why I'm trying to connect these dots, because we can have old and new. And we have contractors and engineers and people like LHB Inc. who knows historic preservation trades so that we can train local contractors to also do preservation trades and not just new construction. This would be a huge job creation thing. So what I came here to say is that we are here to help as well, just like you guys all are. And I've tried to make myself available. I've tried to invite people to things, but I can't make you come. And that's okay, it's your prerogative. But I don't want to do anything to hinder any business owner. I just care about those historic buildings because my family, one of my relatives owned one, and my family grew up here and settled here, and I care about it too. Just because I left for a little while to do massage school and I got married, and now I'm in a house where we all know what the housing market's like right now. I would love to move back here. That's my intent. That's why I'm pouring my heart and soul into it. So if you have questions, please come to me. I would be happy to. Good for you working on your business if you get a new one, whatever. But we were willing to offer to purchase your building, let you stay in it as a tenant, do some of the shoring work, get some of that because we can get it. If we've $236,000 total is what we've gotten for Bauman Hall in less than 3 years. We are happy to talk if that's an option and you would like to sell it. And I have 2 other private businesses who approached us to see if we were interested before they made an offer. So it's an open door. We want to help the community, and we want to be a part of cleaning it up, and that's what we're here to do. And I'm here to listen to her.
I have one question. Why has nothing been done with the school and your building after all these years? Have you shown a profit from any of them?
Is that what this meeting's about?
I'm happy
No.
to answer that at another point if it's not really relevant to this, but we are having developments with the school, but the school is a larger project. We have an HSR grant right now, $75,000 grant that's not finished this fall. It's a bigger building, so a smaller building with a tenant can provide some cash flow in conjunction with our donations and our investors, so that we can then take that cash flow to help redevelop the school. And we're talking about on 2 businesses at the school right now. We're planning. So we do have a plan. We haven't publicized it yet because we would hate to publicize something and then say, oh, wait a second, things change because things change. But that's Minnesota Historical Society is finishing our grant, and we can't move forward until we have that historic structure report completed, because that's all of the construction specs for that building. So it's just a longer process because it's such a huge building. So
It's a long process.
Yeah,
Is the Stonewall bar considered a historical building? I don't know if it has to be registered.
It has to be registered. It's eligible. The Historical Society has told us it's eligible just like any of the other quartzite buildings. So it just has to be put on the National Register, and you cannot do that as a private owner, which is why otherwise she would be able to get grants for it, but she can't. So it has to be like a city or not 501c3, which is why we have tried to do that for these buildings so that we can have more businesses. Because I would hate to see, a business build is great. Build a new business, fantastic. I think that's fantastic. But I would hate to see a potential 2-tenant space plus apartments above be taken off the table for another business if we can fix it. And we have shown that in Bauman Hall for 2.5 years, and now we're getting the grant. We'll get the grant in January if it's approved to fix it. So that's my thing is, I think we can have both.
And those two neighboring buildings where the bowling alley used to be down, is that the same situation?
They can also be designated historic, absolutely, and actually there can be a historic downtown designation, which opens you up to more grants. And what the Historical Society told us is that if there are any more demolitions in town of historic buildings, every one you lose, you risk not being able to get that designation. So that's why we're pushing so hard to try and keep them if we can find viable solutions with the community, because they will appreciate more. They're actually more energy efficient when they're renovated than new, and that's a huge New York City study that was done when Mayor Bloomberg was mayor. So they're actually more energy efficient, and they're actually less expensive than building the same building new, because, for example, the school has been valued, replacement value at like 36 million. So the actual cost of repair is gonna be $75 to $95 a square foot, which is like 6 million. So if you spend 6 to 7 million, and then you end up with a value of about 70%, which is our real estate agents have told us that's what you aim for, then you're talking a $21 million building that you only spent $6.5 million. So that's kind of what you look at. You look at the total outcome and how long it will pay, because the other difference between new construction and old is that new construction has an average lifespan, according to this research by Place Economics, 30 to 40 years before it has to be fully renovated. Historic buildings have a lifespan of about 100 years before they have to be renovated. But if you renovate them again, they will last another 100 years, where the new construction has to be, just because it's different materials. So it is the better return on investment, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't build new. It just means you shouldn't sacrifice an old one because of a new, just because on the first, like the initial dollar investment, because it's in the back end, you're missing out the return and the grants.
One last question. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, I'm just asking the question.
Yeah.
If the Stonewall was knocked down,
Mhm.
you lose your grants then for your Bauman Hall.
We won't lose the Bauman Hall grants. What it does is we've been in planning to establish a historic district downtown. It would threaten that, and that would mean that all business owners, even if their building wasn't on the National Register, because there's a lot that aren't,
Sure.
they would have grants access that they wouldn't have, but they'd have to spend, a private owner would have to spend like 10 grand to put their business on the National Register. We can get a grant for it. So if they spend that 10 grand, then they can go for grants only if they're nonprofit. So it's kind of a way to get nonprofit business owners some help by establishing a historic district. So it kind of makes everybody, not just the people with the National Register designation, be able to benefit, is what it is.
I say, you come up with a business plan for next meeting, figure out what you're gonna do with the old building. You think about selling your buildings, if the city would be interested. Sound like a plan?
But are you gonna tear them down by the city?
To be determined.
So that's not an answer either, is it? Tear them down?
it's an answer.
To be determined.
Kyley, I have a question. If she's willing to sell her building, is that building big enough to build a bar in her building? Let's just say she will buy her building, or depending how much she's asking for, would it be cheaper to use her building to build a bar instead of building something new there?
But then that puts her in business until it's constructed as well.
I don't know
Well,
how big,
unless
I
she
don't
has
know how big that.
Goes back to time and money.
Any other questions of Kyley? Okay. Next on the agenda is to review and approve the minutes of the August.
I had some more to add to this, if I may.
You've been asked one more question, and that's enough.
No, I have a bunch of letters that were sent to me by concerned individuals, and I won't read them. I'll turn them all in, but tell you who they're from.
Pertaining to this demolition, we aren't even talking about the demolition. Nothing's happening with the demolition as of right now.
Okay,
This-
what are the letters pertaining
This
to?
is concerned about preserving our historic buildings in town,
Okay,
the stone buildings. One's from Lynn Haraldson. She was class of '81, daughter of Don Haraldson, who used to have the grocery store over here.
who Don took down a building to build his grocery store, if you remember.
This is his daughter.
Yes,
And then we have my daughter, Emma Larson. and Brenda Rainey from the Minnesota Historical Society. One from my sister Monica.
Patricia.
And the,
Last name.
that's a copy. And then one from Bill Sexton. I'll just read what he said. Dear Andy, it was nice visiting with you today. I would urge the city of Jasper to be patient and more thoughtful in decisions regarding the demolition of historic quartzite buildings. The community still means much to me and my family. Hopefully solutions can be found for the future use of the buildings before they are gone forever. Sincerely, Bill Sexton.
Could you actually pull up that letter that I received? Does
Did you
anybody have that? I actually received a letter from somebody who was supporting Reclaim, which is perfect. Telling me that next time I get a sliver, I should just cut off my finger. Next time I stub my toe, I should probably just cut off my whole entire foot. And that this will not happen over anybody's dead body. The letter that I received was actually very threatening. That's why I had sent it out to the council, because it terrified me. I'm not going to lie.
Isn't that a police matter? Yeah, was that addressed to you personally?
It was addressed to the Jasper City Council from one of your supporters. So,
That's not on the beach.
so I don't think that we should even
Was it
entertain
Reclaim
the whole
supporters?
demolition thing.
That's not on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda, so if we could just kind of move on with our meeting, please.
Okay, if you wanna submit those to, okay, thank you.
And then also, I just wanted to say that in 1996, Colorland TV interviewed David Smith when he was mayor. And in the interview, David said that we thought about trying to develop more of even a visitor center because of the uniqueness of the stone, how it's designed and how it's manufactured. Doug Lunn's response was that the history of Jasper is in the quarries, of course, and you feel that the future is based on that as well. David said, absolutely. And then, of course, underneath the city heading on the website and in all the history books, it says, since 1888, Jasperites have been bragging about their beloved stone. We have right here before our eyes a very unique town. Many of our buildings are built from the stones that come from just a few blocks away. If you think about it, it'd be very difficult to make up a more intriguing story. That's my thoughts. And then a couple things from Jim Haugen, an architect he used to be, it was a 68 alumni. And his dad used to own that grocery store too. And then also another one from Michael Koop, preservation specialist with the State Historic Preservation Office, saying that every building you tear down in a older building you tear down lessens the likelihood of ever getting it to be a historic downtown area.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Next up is to review and approve the minutes of the August 10th meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes from the August 10th council meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next is to review the August claims.
It's actually Development Services. That's, who is doing our home improvement grants. Jeff spent a lot of money. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the expenses.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Opposed? Receipts noted for August.
So anything that we actually send out to DSI, we actually get a reimbursement back from the state,
Okay.
pretty much right away. Once she sends us, we actually get it back, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
questions on the receipts noted? Okay. Delinquent sewer and water. Maggie, what can you enlighten us with?
Oh, it looks so good, man.
Short list. What's your technique?
I think it's upping the late fee.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, take some credit.
But, no. Well, yeah, like number 34, they'll be on there. For, yeah.
Number 119. Is there was an issue from, because they just purchased that.
Yeah, we might have to pass them out, but we should be receiving a check in the mail soon.
Okay.
Because I gotta go meet somebody.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, whatever you're doing, it's a good job. Wellness center.
Nothing really much going on up there. It's
Okay.
actually pretty quiet up there. The 4-H will be meeting up there again, coming Mondays.
Okay.
What they're actually gonna do is they're gonna take out all the tables and chairs and put them away, just so we don't have daycare kids falling off of them.
Sure.
So they're being they're working with us.
New business, the America Rescue Plan Act.
Okay, so this was actually sent out to us, from the league. It's actually just a form that we had to fill out, a very short form, just saying pretty much what our budget was for the previous year. Due to COVID, they will actually, the city of Jasper is eligible for $63,000. And now, there are certain things that you have to use it for though, which would be infrastructure. You know, broadband, sewer, water, whatever it may be. Brian had brought up something else, what was it? I can't even remember what it is either, but we haven't heard anything. All that I said, or like I said, all that it was just a short form that we had to fill out and then.
But this has got a longer window, don't it?
Yes, till 2025, or 2026. Yes,
Okay.
yep, yeah. So it's not like the COVID funds that we received before where we had to spend them by,
November.
yeah, 3 months.
And our new Pipestone County law enforcement contract.
Yes, so that one we actually kind of just discussed that at the, budget meeting. It will be a 4% increase. Like I said, Bremen hasn't increased this in the past 2 years, I know for sure, so.
We've already discussed the approval for that, didn't we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And this is the official contract.
yeah.
Yep. Old business.
So,
Shells?
yes, so Brian actually wanted me to kind of look into this. One of the questions on the listserv was actually about houses. So I just included what Warren and Stockton have, and pretty much the same thing that we have in our policy, that no garage will be used as a dwelling unit, or no shop will be used as a dwelling unit. That's how they're covering those houses, so pretty much they are not allowing them in those types of communities.
So do you feel our codes are adequately written for houses? Okay. And we got an FYI letter regarding the Jasper Medical Clinic.
Yes, that's just the letter that I sent out to them. We haven't heard anything back. However, they were saying today that they were out there changing the lights. So maybe there could be something happening there. We haven't heard anything from them.
Maybe they're gonna just give flu shots out there.
Yeah.
Well, I had questioned them when they first started, like why they didn't use that as their COVID testing place.
Well, at least to have one in town. Or
What's
even
that? I'm sorry,
to
I
have-
can't hear.
At least to have one in town.
Yeah.
Or even, to be able to vaccinate there as well.
Right.
And now flu shots are coming along. And
Yeah.
At least something to start before.
Maybe just start off slow too, and yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Ryan, what do you got for us?
Can I go back to it just real quick? Should we give a time frame, like if you don't hear from them, should we try to reach out again?
Do you think if we don't hear from them by the next council meeting?
Then we'll figure out another way to contact them.
Yeah.
Now, Brian, what do you got for us?
No land use permits. And then I have a permanent disconnection. That's down here on Third Street. I really don't know what your thoughts are on that. It's in the process of being sold.
Why do they wanna disconnect it? It's already been sold. It's gonna cost them to reconnect it.
So that would be the thing, if you guys do allow this permanent disconnect to happen, the new tenant, when they come in, they are required to pay $500 reconnection fee for the water and then $500 reconnection fee for the sewer.
So what's gonna be done?
Because I'm assuming that the house is actually going to go to the state. Yeah.
If that's the case, though, then you disconnect it and then, because if it goes to the state, it might be auction off.
Well, pretty much the funds from the sale of the state, or the funds from the sale of the property are going to go to the state to pay for room and board as of right now. Yeah. So the individual is actually in a nursing home, and the children are trying to sell the home for her. But the nursing home will actually get the proceeds from the sale of the house to help pay for it.
Is this a move that they're trying to make the state pay more money to unhook and rehook the water to a existing house?
Or
What's their
if they're
motive?
just trying to get out of paying it for right now, because they know that in the long run, they aren't gonna get anything from the house, you know? I actually calculated it, and paying our base rate, or just the small rate that everybody pays, they can get by for 23.5 months versus paying that $1,000.
The disconnection.
Yeah, I don't foresee that house sitting on the market for 2 years.
Well, she's petitioning the city council. What does the council want to do with this petition?
I've never heard of anybody
No.
Yeah,
doing this. Is there a realtor involved with this home?
I'm not exactly sure.
I'd be really curious because
Wasn't there a sign up?
that's gonna have to be
I just saw it on
disclosed.
Zillow, I didn't know if, like, there was, who was associated with it.
Yeah, otherwise, you know, because the realtor's gonna have to disclose that they've asked and the rehook fees are gonna be this.
Well, kind of what I had thought too, is to keep it on, if the house doesn't sell in a year, we could revisit it at that time. You know, but I don't foresee the house sitting on the market that long. I really don't, but.
So we leave it on, and most likely we're not gonna pay just the minimum fees.
I think I'd at least hold off for a while here and see what happens.
Would you guys like to revisit it in a couple months?
Yes.
I
Would you
think
say
so.
3 months?
Yes.
Revisit in 3 months?
Before it gets cold.
Yeah. please.
Mhm. Maybe two. Who knows?
Yeah, hopefully not soon.
okay, anything else, Brian?
No, I should do it.
Okay,
I do have a couple things to add,
Okay.
just really quick. Number one, our audit was finally completed today, we got that done. Next council meeting, which is October, we'll actually be having a public hearing. DSI will actually be coming, and we're going to be notifying the public on how they are proceeding with these home improvement grants. There will be notices posted in the newspaper 2 weeks prior to that. So if you guys would be okay doing it that night, the night of council,
Sure.
instead of another night, okay. One thing. So Kim Drew, our Jasper ambulance president, actually received the EMT of the year for the state of Minnesota. She just actually received it just this past weekend, so that's
Awesome.
absolutely amazing. So, yep. Very, very good for her, very good for her. So she actually got to go to the MEMSA conference and receive her award and everything. We did apply for Ambulance Association of the Year, but St. James beat us out. So, but what a huge recognition for the city of Jasper. That is absolutely amazing, so, yeah, yes. So if you see her, just congratulate her.
Anyone have anything else? Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
We're adjourned.
I want to thank the